Finovate showcases cutting-edge banking and financial technology through a global conference series featuring short-form demos and thought leadership. Now, the conversation continues on the Finovate podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the Finovate podcast. Joining me today, we have John MacIlwaine, CEO and founder of Highnote. We're going to be talking about payments today. John, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Really happy to be here.
So to kick things off, can you give us a little bit of background on yourself and your expertise in the payments industry?
Sure, I'd love to. I'd say the majority of my career has been at both small and large companies across a number of different segments of financial technologies, from sort of online brokerage earlier in my career to lending. I was the chief technology officer for Lending Club, and grew that business and really got a good understanding and appreciation for capital markets. I, at one point in my career, was the head of global development for Visa, where really understanding global payments at scale as an example of a larger company. And most recently, I was the general manager of Braintree, which is PayPal's acquiring business, and really understanding payments. Again, global payments from the acquiring side, always being very close to the business with product and technology. And then most recently, I co-founded, and I'm currently the CEO and co-founder of a company called Highnote, which is a modern card issuance and embedded finance technology company. And we're super excited to be launching into the markets right now in real time.
Cool. So, obviously a lot of different perspectives that you've seen, and it's no secret that the payments industry has undergone a massive transformation over the past 10 years. You've really had a front row seat for that. When you look around at the current state of payments, what do you see as the biggest, coolest thing that didn't exist a decade ago, but exists now?
That's a great question. When I look around, one thing I notice, and a lot of people who are familiar with payments really reflect on, is that it's constantly evolving, perhaps faster than most financial technologies industries. And I think that's because payments is exciting. It's really a collection of lots of different technologies and platforms and consumer experiences and business experiences. And so things that have allowed for those experiences to be better, to be faster, to be more efficient, I think those have really been a lot of the trends that we've seen in the last 10 years, specifically in embedded finance and in issuance. I often point to kind of this notion of in card issuance, the ability to create a card, a payment method in real time for businesses that have a need to enter or to join the payment rails for their business purposes. An example would be, maybe a relevant example would be companies like DoorDash, where this type of business where they're able to virtualize a card or create a card from a consumer's card so that they can perform shopping and delivery of products. That business model could not have existed in its current form 10 years ago because there wasn't virtualized card issuance in this format. And so it's just an example of how new innovations unlock new business models and really open up the door for embedded finance and the evolution of instant issuance and payments in general to evolve. And so we're super excited to be right in the middle of that with Highnote and really helping to lead the way in that digital transformation.
Yeah, really interesting. I think you could look at it from the standpoint of maybe payments as the hipsters of the embedded finance movement, right? Like payments have been embedded since before the phrase embedded finance even entered our lexicon. But I think it really is interesting when you look at it from the standpoint of not only do you look at the technology behind payments advances, but also there's a creativity to it, trying to figure out where you can apply them. Companies like DoorDash, like Instacart, who are able to do things that they couldn't do before. And part of that is obviously what's possible from a payment standpoint, but another part of it is taking that possibility and applying it in a creative way towards a pain point that consumers have. I want to ask you another question, which is, looking at the payment services that are available today, Would you say that those are meeting the needs of everyday people, or are there any areas where there's still some work to be done?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are always areas that have unmet needs, and payments is no different. And I think that's actually what's exciting about payments is that it really does touch consumers. It really does integrate with people and with businesses. And so the ability to improve and to augment and to kind of reduce complexity and solve problems within payments is actually what I really love about payments personally. As an example, there's this evolving, call it vertical or segment of the business called earned wage access, which is essentially providing access to payroll salaries for employees, not sort of on an every sort of 2 week or bi-monthly, but really as they earn, as they work, providing access to that salary information is something that is an example of helping people. And I think that, unfortunately, many people in the U.S. are living paycheck to paycheck, and anything that can be done to provide access to capital in a seamless way that's not, that doesn't come with, predatory fees and penalties, we think is great. And so a platform like ours, at Highnote, can provide access through distribution and integration of payroll systems to employees that want to have access through earned wage access in a way that's easy to use. It can integrate directly into their Apple Pay wallet or Google Pay wallet if they have that, or onto a physical card if they're using that, so they can get direct access to an ATM and have access to spend, but they're immediately on the payment rails. They're essentially a banked customer through their company in earned wage access. There are many more examples in these segments that haven't really evolved as quickly as that we would have liked. And so that's why we're excited to be launching our platform to help accelerate and help people and businesses have access to capital.
Sure. No, and I think when you look at the number of people in the US who have to pay a fee to access their own paychecks, it's really shocking. And especially when you consider it's the portion of the population who has the least amount of padding to be able to absorb a hit like that. The payments industry obviously focuses on moving money from one person to another. And this is, wage payments are payments. Why can't we clean that process up as well? I think it's a really fair question, and certainly an area where there's a lot of room for improvement. I know another area that you're focusing on is around small and medium-sized businesses. I know you've got a partnership that you've been working on with Tillful. Can you talk a little bit about that partnership and why this kind of SMB space is one that's caught your eye?
Yeah, I'd love to. We are ecstatic about the partnership that we just announced with Tillful, who's a company that's been around for a while. It's not a brand new company that's really aimed at helping small businesses and helping them not only access capital, but to grow their business in sustainable ways. And one of the exciting innovations that Tillful has announced in partnership with Highnote is the Tillful card, which is a card aimed at small businesses and in many ways the underbanked businesses or customers that need access to a payment method. And through this card, there's an opportunity to establish and begin to build a sort of a credit report, if you will, that will then lead to more seamless access to credit. So it's an attempt to really level the playing field and help small businesses that have been under tremendous pressure, certainly in the last 2 years with the pandemic, but even before then, not having access to the same level of capital that other businesses have had has been an inhibitor to growth. And many of these businesses are not asking for a loan, or they're not trying to just get it sort of a one-time credit vehicle. It's really about the sustainability of growth that helps them on their own trajectory move faster. And so we're that mission resonates with Highnote, and Tillful's just done a tremendous job in not only building their business but helping their small business community. And we're excited to sort of add the next chapter of that with the Tillful card.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you're not alone in looking at the small business space and thinking this is a group that needs a lot of help. It's become really clear over the past couple of years that it's especially crucial. But even before that, this is an area that people have been focusing on. And I think a lot of times we do get it from the standpoint of it's a bank who's looking to support their small business customers by making credit more accessible to them, which of course is a good thing. But at the same time, you look at it and think there has to be another platform than putting somebody into debt. And obviously, the banks who are pushing this are frequently trying to just get more lending customers for themselves. So there's a little bit of a self-serving angle there. But I think it is true that there's a real possibility for a lot of these fintech solutions to make a difference in these small businesses. And for many, the difference between success and failure is so small, and it's just an area where any help can work out. And then, of course, you look at the ripple effect in our society, what a small business is worth to the communities that they support. It really is an area that there's clearly a lot to be done. I'd like to take the conversation in a different direction now. We've got a lot of bankers and fintech innovators who listen to this show. What do you think are the biggest opportunities that those two groups should be aware of in the payment space right now?
Well, I think in terms of innovations that are occurring, we are particularly excited about the adoption of virtual cards and all of the different capabilities and the different verticals that allow businesses to continue to grow and evolve. I think one of the trends that we're seeing that we hope accelerates is centers around the ability to facilitate more real-time payments, and that's something that the industry has been talking about for a number of years. But many people may not know that a lot of the payments businesses behind the scenes, payments are not real-time. There's overnight capabilities and settlement that occurs, and just allowing for transactions to occur when they occur and have them settle so that there's no delay, there's no overdraft fees, there's no sort of implications to the existing infrastructure. We think that's happening, and it's going to happen faster, and we're excited to be participating in that evolution, if you will, across the not only the U.S. but in many areas of the world that are already there with regard to real-time payments. Having the U.S. join in that, I think we're excited to see that begin to take hold and hopefully accelerate in the next coming years.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, I guess it kind of comes back up to the pieces that we were talking about at the beginning. There's a lot of room for creativity when you look at what's possible in the payment space. And I think that banks and innovators who really look at these new capabilities and can figure out how to play with them effectively certainly have a lot of open ocean still to play for, which is an exciting. Anytime you have the word open ocean in fintech, you kind of sit up and take notice because so much of the ground feels like it's really well covered at this point. I'd like to end with a bold prediction. Looking ahead, what do you think is going to drastically shape payments over the next decade? How different is it going to look? What's going to help us get there? Let's go big picture for the close.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I think big picture. I will say sort of ubiquitous real-time exchange of payments to anyone or any business around the world, regardless of whether it's a weekend, regardless of a business day, with the appropriate checks and controls with regard to identity and the like. But I think just the ability to exchange value and have a mechanism that's trustworthy, that's fast, that in some regards is global. I think that's where the world's going, and there's a lot of work that needs to happen to get there. But it's less about technology and infrastructure, and it's more about the consumer experience and what that enables. And to your point, the creativity that can be unlocked with a sort of a modern payments platform connected to a modern infrastructure that's global. I mean, we get super excited about the capabilities that can provide. And at Highnote, we're just thrilled to be part of this and entering at, I think, one of the most exciting times within global payments, and excited to be working with businesses and customers around the world to help solve their problems and help get there faster.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the goal, right? This kind of ubiquitous, real time, frictionless experience, and we are getting closer to that. Coming back to the examples of DoorDash or Instacart, where you don't even really see the payment take place. You place the order, and then that's it. You already have the card linked. Everything is seamless from that standpoint. I think we're going to see more of that as well. It'll be fascinating to see who owns the rails of the future. And I think it's also going to be really interesting to see what customer behaviors do, because this is always one of the challenges of fintech. You have these capabilities, you sort of put them in front of everyday people and say, okay, what do you guys like? And obviously they're the ones who have the ultimate voice in terms of what gets adopted and which technologies they're just not as interested in. So I think it'll be really interesting to see, as you say. Well, I want to thank you again, John, for taking the time to share your thoughts and expertise with us. It's been a real pleasure chatting.
Greg, thanks a lot. Really enjoyed it.
The Finovate podcast is produced by Informa Connect in association with Provoke.fm Media. Check out Finovate.com for information on Finovate's upcoming shows and to learn how you can get involved. The discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% on tickets to all of our events. And you can email us at info@finovate.com for information on sponsoring, speaking, or demoing. Thanks for listening.